In this video, I will demonstrate paragraph formatting using the paragraph group and the paragraph dialog box. I will demonstrate paragraph alignment, line spacing, paragraph spacing, that's spacing before a paragraph and/or after a paragraph. I'll demonstrate setting indents, bullets and numbering, and then finally adding borders and shading to a paragraph. Just like the font group, the paragraph group is off of the Home tab and located right here. This is going to be our focus. We'll be able to do bullets and numbering. These four symbols represent our different alignments. We have some shading. This is where we'll set borders. This is a shortcut to set some line spacing and some paragraph spacing. We can also do that in the dialog box, so we'll launch there. And this character represents the paragraph mark. This is called the show hide. I'm going to go ahead and turn that on since we're talking about paragraphs. When this is on, this shows the end of each paragraph. So in Word, a paragraph can be as simple as December 2020, or can be full, complete paragraphs. As long as our insertion point is in a paragraph, it will affect the entire paragraph. Okay, let's get started with paragraph alignment. Right now, this entire document is left aligned. So if I want to change that, I place my insertion point in a paragraph, and I choose. This is center alignment, jagged on both sides. We have right alignment, even on the right-hand side, jagged on the left. And then we also have what is called justify alignment. When I choose justify, it stretches the left and right edges out so they're very straight. And to do this, it adds additional spacing where it needs to in between words. I'm going to go to December 2020. I'm going to make that right aligned. Student handbook will center align, and I'll leave the other one justified. So now you know how to set some alignment. Let's cover line spacing next. Again, my insertion point is in this first full paragraph. I'm going to go ahead and launch the paragraph dialog box. Our line spacing is here. I wanted to share with you that the default is multiple 1.08. That 1.08 means 8% more spacing than single space, and that is now the default. I'm going to hit OK and not change that. Okay, I'm going to come here to the line and paragraph spacing drop down. I can also change line spacing this way. 1.5, 2 is the same as double space, 2.5. Line spacing options takes us full circle, just brings us back to the line spacing in the paragraph dialog box. So since I'm in here, I'll drop down, I'm going to do double space, and I'm going to hit OK. Again, did not need to select the paragraph. Next, let's talk about paragraph spacing, and we can apply paragraph spacing before a paragraph and/or after a paragraph. I use this quite a bit, but I don't use it for full paragraphs. I might decide, for instance, our SPARK objectives. I want a little more spacing above this so it's not so close to our mission. I'm going to launch the paragraph group. Here's our spacing. Because we're in the paragraph dialog box, it's called paragraph spacing. And again, my insertion points on our SPARK objectives. And so it's going to increment 6 points apiece, and I'm going to choose to put 18 points before. The default for every paragraph is to have 8 points after. I'm going to hit OK, and I added additional spacing above the paragraph. By default, our paragraphs are not indented. Indents. I'm going to launch the paragraph dialog box. We have the group indentation. We see the left, right. There's a preview area. So if I want to change the left indent to a 1/2 inch, 0.5, you can see from the preview it's indenting. Let me go ahead and hit OK. indents on the left. I'll click undo. The right would just bring it in from the right. Normally, if we're going to do a right indent, we're also going to do a left together. We can do a left-right combination. Word also has two special indents, and so right now it says none. I'm going to do a first line. If I want to change the first line indent to something other than the default, I make the change here, not in the left. So I keep the left at 0. First line is a ½ inch. If I wanted it to be an inch, I'd put a 1 and then hit OK. First line indents the first line. Again, clicking undo. The other special indent is called a hanging indent. Again, the hanging indent, the default, 0.5. Hit OK, and indents every line except the first line of the paragraph, and so it looks like the first line is hanging over the paragraph, a hanging indent. Next, I'd like to talk about bullets and numbering. Bullets give emphasis, usually to short paragraphs, single line, not always, and the same with numbering. So let me scroll down and find a place that we can look at bullets and numbering. Okay, policy for internet use. We have some different policies, and so I'm going to go ahead and select this, and I'm going to make this a bulleted list. Keeping in mind, a bullet will be applied to every paragraph. So you see the paragraph mark, so it will be applied to every paragraph. I select my list in my paragraph group. If I simply click on bullets, it adds the black circle bullet. I click on it again, it removes it. I can drop down. I have a library list of bullets. And if I don't find something like here, I can go ahead and define a new bullet. I'm going to go to symbols. Let's say I want a heart bullet. I hit OK. Within the define new bullet, I can click on font. I have to be within here and not go outside. I can change the size of my bullet, and I can also give my symbol bullets a color if I want. I'm going to hit OK, and now I have a heart bullet. If there's another policy and I want to put it between, I simply go to the end of the line, hit enter, and I would now be able to type another bulleted point. Scrolling down, we have another short list. Again, keeping in mind, even though they're short lines, these are still paragraphs. And if I want, I could make this a numbered list. And so here is the numbering. Again, if there was something I wanted to add between the number 5 and 6, I can place my insertion point after the number 5, striking enter, and again, I could type my next. I want to go back to the top of my list. Control Home will get me there quickly. And I want to talk about setting paragraph borders. Let me start with the paragraph below our mission. If I want to apply a border to this paragraph, I go to the paragraph group. I see borders. I can drop down. I could do some partial borders, so if I just wanted a bottom border, you can see that happen. If I wanted just a top border, left, right, maybe I want an outside border, I'm good to go. I live in the world of color, and so I'm going to drop down here and click on Borders and Shading. It's going to open up a Border and Shading dialog box. So right now the setting says none. I can pick boxed or shadow, 3D. I'm going to stick with boxed. Notice my preview. So right now I have a thin line going around. That's what would happen if I hit OK. I have other choices of lines. I'll stick with the single solid line. I can pick a line color for my border and go ahead and pick a blue. I can pick a width. So right now a half point, a very thin. I'm going to choose a 2 1/4 point. I hit OK, and it applies it around the entire paragraph. Did not need to select that. If I go back in, click on the borders and shading, in my preview area, I still see the border that I previously applied. I can decide that I don't want it on the left and right. And I can hit OK. And so I can make some adjustments. Notice that our border starts at the left margin and ends at the right. And so the entire paragraph. To demonstrate that a little bit maybe clearer, let me go to Student Handbook. Even though it's small text, go back to borders and shading. Still going to go around the entire paragraph, left to right margin. I'm going to go ahead and click undo there. We can also add shading to our paragraph. So this paragraph that I have the border, I see it looks like a little paint bucket. I drop down and I have all types of shading colors that I can apply to this. Policy for internet use. I want that to stand out more. So just to recap a little, I want to add some additional spacing after this and maybe before as well. So where do I find that? I launch the paragraph group. Spacing before, I can put 12. Spacing after, also 12. I hit OK. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a shading. And again, just that reminder that no matter what shading I choose, it's applying to a paragraph, and so to the left and right margin.